Hello children, today we are going to learn History Chapter 1 Traces of Medieval Period, Class 7. Okay, so let's start. First, in history, we should know what are the two classifications of period. Broadly, history is divided into two periods, prehistory and history. Prehistory is the time which we also call as dark age, where there were no evidences because people that time didn't know how to read or write, and there were no written records to trace the period. Only whatever being dug from the earth by archaeologists is the only source available to us. Then later on, when the people learned to read and write and the written records were also available, that time the history begins. Now this history period is again divided into three parts: ancient, medieval, modern. Ancient history you have already studied in 6th standard, and this period tells us the life of the primitive man who did not know to grow crops, who were dwelling in the forest. They were forest dwellers, and they used to lead a hard life in the forest, eating the wild things available. Later on, when the civilization began in River Valley, people knew how to settle down. They started doing agriculture, they started doing animal rearing, and that is the time the kings and kingdoms also established, because power was the main pivotal role to be played. Third is the modern period, which you are going to study in 8th standard, which pertains to the study of revolution, study of changes, study of colonialism, imperialism. Now, in this standard, 7th, you are going to study only about this medieval period. Now, this medieval period, as you see, again is subdivided into two: early medieval and later medieval. This whole medieval period belongs to AD 750 to 1750 approx. The early medieval period is the time between 8th to 13th century, and the later medieval period is the time between 13th to 18th century. Now, we should know that what actually happened in this period, early period. Early period belongs to the kings and clans of Rajput, Marathas, the Solankis, the Tomaras, the Jats, the Sikh, the Ahoms, etc. They were called the Aryans, and they were basically and mostly from Kshatriya clan. Then what happened in late medieval period? This period is the period where the Muslim invaders from outside came to India, like the Tughlaqs, the Khiljis, the Lodhis, the Sayyids, and lastly the Mughals. We all know about the Mughals. And this medieval period began first with the invasion by Muhammad Ghazni, who main aim to enter to India was to plunder it, because India was a rich country. All the temples were full of gold, and there was a Somnath temple full of gold which Mahmud Ghazni targeted to plunder, and so he came to India. Then later on, Mahmud Ghori also came to India, but this time he has different plans. His aim is to set up the empire, and then the start of late medieval period begins. Now, children, we will discuss what are the changes, the social and political changes that happened during those periods. Now, first you understand what is social. Social is pertaining to society. If there is any radical thoughts or changes in the mindset happens in the people, then we call it as social change. And political, it is relating to administration, the law and order, the rules, and the ruler. Now, let us observe what are the social and political changes in the medieval period. First, invention of Persian wheel and the spinning wheel. Persian wheel is used for irrigation, where an animal is tied with a rope and the animal used to make a circular path rotation and the water is drawn for agriculture purpose. And that helped in agriculture a lot and agriculture bloomed. Then what is this Persian wheel and spinning wheel? What is the spinning wheel? Spinning wheel, what we call is charka, that is also used to spin yarn from cotton. Cotton is the fabric and the fabric is converted to yarn with the help of spinning wheel. And then people learn to wear clothes. Second, what is the changes that happened? New kind of food and beverages, they came to India. They arrived at our subcontinent, like potatoes, corn, chilies, tea and coffee. Tea and coffee is the beverage crop, whereas potatoes, corn, chilies, they are food crops. Third, people became more mobile. Mobile in the sense, not your mobile, but mobile means they have started movement a lot, especially long distances. People knew to travel longer distances. They used to take the assistance of animals like camels and horses, and they used to travel to longer distances. Earlier, they did not know how to do. Fourth, forest cleared for agriculture. From foresters, now they have converted into agriculturists. They have become peasants. Fifth, demarcations in the society led to formation of Jatis. Now, understand this, how Jatis were formed. When the peasants, they grew crops, they had to give a certain amount of the crops as gifts to the landlords, to the nobles or to the kings. That is called as tax. So they were the taxpayers, but everyone in the society were not paying the tax. Mind you, there were nobles, there were other people, the landlords and the chief. They were not paying taxes. So they were differentiated from those who are not paying the taxes. That means taxpayers and non-taxpayers were differentiated, and then the society is differentiated in ranks or jatis. So that was also the major change that evolved in the society. And sixth is the religious movement groups. There were two religious movement groups, one from the Hindu sect, that is Bhakti movement, and another from the Muslim sect, that is Sufi movement. Now they were the people who were doing the rituals without the assistance of priest. There were no priests. There were the common people who were following and singing the song for the deities, and they used to spread religion without the intervention of priest. Now, next we are going to do in details what are the people or the kings that flourished during the period. First, we will start with the early medieval period. The major development were growth of Rajput clan. Now, what are the Rajput clans? Tomaras, Chauhans, Chandelas, Solankis, Parmars, and Guhilais. After the Rajput, came the Marathas, then came the Jats, Sikhs, and Ahoms. These Rajputs were called Rajaputra because they are believed to be son of kings, and they were from Kshatriya clan, and they were known popularly for two things. One is the great valor, and secondly is the great sense of loyalty. They were known for their words. It is said that a word given by Rajput has to be followed. They will die for their words. And the later medieval period, there the Tughlaqs, Khaljis, Lodhis, Sayyids and Mughals we are going to study. Talking about Mughal, the first great king who established the Mughal dynasty in India was Babur. His son Humayun, and then his ascendant Aurangzeb.